All right, everybody, Google Jared Goff and get ready for some serious buffoonery.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Matt Derry with you on a Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, on a Friday, February 14th, into a freaking weekend. It's Saturday, February 15th. Thanks for making us your first listen. Thanks for watching us and subscribing on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. And thanks to our everydayers that are out there. They watch the podcast, listen to the podcast. My guy, Brad Patrick, real estate agent to the stars, came up to me the other day, said he's a big listener. Ran into Andrew Dombrowski today at the Troy Chamber event. Great to see Andy. He was a longtime listener of mine at 105.1, one of our 9 listeners. But Andy's awesome. And he is an everydayer as well right here on Locked On Lions. Appreciate all of you. Locked On Lions today on a Friday is sponsored by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Coming up on the program today. Look, we're getting into that time of year where it's time to really buckle down and find some interesting topics and some new topics and some things that we haven't really maybe discussed on the show. There's no games going on. The Super Bowl was played. We're waiting on the combine, the draft, and free agency, and all of these things. So yours truly, your Locked On Lions host, is looking for material. And today I Googled Jared Goff, and I'm going to tell you what I found, just how ridiculous this is, coming up momentarily on the program. Also, what else did I put? Oh, yeah. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the St. Brown Brothers podcast. I had a few comments about the Philadelphia Eagles, which I will vehemently disagree with. And I love Amon-Ra, but I will get into that coming up momentarily as well. I can't see anything. I'm literally looking at my screen. Bradford Banta was on the show yesterday. Go back and check it out, the former Lion. I asked him what position and what players that are current Lions free agents does he want back, and without hesitation, he answered the question. I want to go over what he had to say yesterday. If you missed the podcast with Brad yesterday, check it out. And also today, the Philadelphia Eagles completely embarrassed themselves at their Super Bowl parade. And I don't know, maybe I'm just being old man, get off my lawn guy, but I will explain coming up later on this very podcast. But thanks for again being with us. Locked On Lions, we're here every single day, Monday through Friday, talking Detroit Lions football and certainly everything that's going on with this team daily on the podcast. No football this weekend. Super Bowl's done. It's our first weekend without football. Now, I know 2 weekends ago, we didn't really have football, but for those of you that were geeking out and Pro Bowl and everything, and I'm well aware the Michigan Panthers are starting up soon in the UFL. So I guess that's football, but first weekend without NFL is kind of bumming me out a little bit. So today I was thinking about a topic about Jared Goff, and I just happened to Google Jared Goff. I typed Jared Goff into Google. Yes, I can do that. And I found something, and I don't know why this is on there. I'm not sure why it came up first on the list, but it did. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for how stupid sometimes the internet is? And I know we're in a crazy time in this world right now where basically many things are going unchecked. You can say whatever, post whatever, do whatever. We're basically just roaming free right now, running around naked, basically, in this country. But I Googled Jared Goff, and the first thing that comes up on said Google, and of course now my computer is freezing. This is hilarious. Come on now. I had this locked and loaded. I had this queued up. I can't believe this isn't happening. This is happening to me. All right. It comes up, all right, TWSN.net. I don't even know what this is, this website. It's affiliated with USA Today Sports. This is a real website. The headline with a picture of Jared Goff says, New York Jets trading for Jared Goff. And when you go to Google and you go to Jared Goff and you click on return and 4 articles pop up, like the first 4, like in the headlines, this was the first one by Marissa Myers, February 13th, 2025, TWSN.net. I have no idea what this is. So I'm like, Jared Goff to the Jets? Okay, sure, I'll read this ridiculousness. Quote, the New York Jets made their decision on their head coach vacancy and hired Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. That is one step down for New York on their road to rebuilding. The next is figuring out Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 blah. That result could be a trade with the Detroit Lions after they enter an offseason filled with questions as well as regarding their own offense. Then it says the New York Jets trade for Jared Goff. With that in mind, Jared Goff could very well be on the move this offseason as an under-the-radar trade candidate. If he is moved and the Lions decide to go in a different direction, a trade to New York is very much in play. And then there's a whole spiel about a win-win scenario for the Jets and Lions. I can't read any more of this. This isn't just like hypothetical. The New York Jets are trading for Jared Goff. What are we doing here? What is going on the internet? What is TWSN.net? Why is this poor Marissa or Melissa girl writing such ridiculousness? The Detroit Lions are not, N-O-T, not trading Jared Goff. What? What are they getting back from the Jets? All right, and who's playing quarterback for the Lions? Hendon Hooker? No offense to the young man. What? What are we doing? Jared Goff was a top 5 MVP honoree this year. He was voted 5th. Only Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, and who am I forgetting? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Mahomes, whoever, whatever. Who cares? Jared Goff was in the top 5 for MVP voting. He had a really good year. He had a really lousy last game. So did half his teammates. The Detroit Lions are not trading Jared Goff to the Jets. Could Aaron Glenn take some of the Lions free agents and maybe the new GM of the Jets, whatever his name is calling Brad Holmes about players? Sure, that's possible. But why do we do this? Why is this on the top header of Google when you Google Jared Goff? Why? What dummy would read that and go, oh, yeah. Goff's on the block. He's going to the Jets. Now, Aaron Glenn is doing the right thing. Aaron Glenn said, I'm not in the Aaron Rodgers business. Get me out of here. Hell no. I'm assuming he sat down with Woody Johnson and his new general manager and some of his personnel folks, and they went, all right, we need to make a decision on Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Glenn said, I ain't doing this. Aaron Glenn is changing the culture up in New York. Aaron Glenn, who was the Lions defensive coordinator the last 4 years, did a heck of a job here in rallying the troops and in instilling a toughness in that defense and an edge and a dog mentality. He's going to keep around the quarterback that last year skipped out on mandatory mini camp to go overseas, smoke some weed and do whatever he was doing. Yeah, no. Aaron Glenn can't come in there and go, I'm ruling with an iron fist. Oh, by the way, vacation boy, 40-year-old vacation boy. Sure. Come on. No, Aaron Glenn's like, get me out of here. But just because Aaron Glenn's looking for a quarterback now that Aaron is gone doesn't mean Jared Goff is being traded to the Jets. That was one of the worst things I've seen on the internet in a long time. And for those of you that don't like Jared Goff, and there's plenty of you. I work with a couple of people that tell me I'm not sold. They'll never win a Super Bowl with them. I said, okay. He was in the Super Bowl just a few years ago with the Rams in a 1-possession game against the Patriots. Now, albeit it was one of the worst Super Bowls of all time. It was like 14-3. Jared Goff is damn good. The guy's breaking records. The guy's breaking passer rating records. He's broken Lions records. Yes, he had a bad last game. Yes, he doesn't run around like Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and whomever. But come on, folks. The New York Jets are trading for Jared Goff. I'm like, wait, did I miss something or did I hit my head? Jared Goff is not going anywhere. Brad Holmes said it. He's ascending in the Lions' mind. You get a new offensive coordinator. You're going to have a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback this year? I don't think so. Don't believe everything you see and read on the internet. Today's lesson from Locked On Lions. It's unbelievable. Amon-Ra St. Brown talking about a rematch with the Eagles. We'll get into that coming up next. And as we told you, Locked On Lions today brought to you by FanDuel, and the game tips off. The NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout games. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. NBA Saturday is tomorrow. That means the All-Star weekend out in Golden State. You got the three-point contest. You have the dunk contest. I have no idea who's in the dunk contest. I used to live for the dunk contest, but you can bet on said dunk contest on FanDuel this weekend. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Just ask my guys, Matt Stile and Jake Bonderek. They love FanDuel and love betting the NBA on there. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. All right, so the St. Brown brothers, Equanimeous St. Brown and Amon-Ra, of course, Equanimeous, I don't believe, is on a team at the moment. We know Amon-Ra is the Lions Pro Bowl receiver, all-pro receiver, and the best target that the Lions have had and the best receiver that the Lions have had in many, many years. They had their usual weekly podcast this week, and Amon-Ra and Equanimeous were discussing the opening game of next year, where the Eagles will be on Thursday Night Football on the opener, hosting a variety of different teams. And one of those teams could be the Detroit Lions. We mentioned this the other day. The Eagles could play the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders, the Bears. Please, not the Bears. The Broncos, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Lions. By the way, how about these rumors about the Giants want to trade for Stafford and the Rams want the number 3 pick? Can you imagine Matthew Stafford in New York? Reports say the Rams are tired of Kelly Stafford's mouth. Oh, get in line. Amon-Ra and Equanimeous were talking about the possibility of the Eagles. This is from prideofdetroit.com, and our main man, Jeremy Reisman, wrote a really good piece on this. Lions receiver Amon-Ra said they were talking about it on the St. Brown Brothers podcast. He'd be excited to face off against the defending Super Bowl champs. The Eagles had their parade today. Quote from Equanimeous, you could really see what would have happened in an NFC championship game. So Equanimeous loves to needle his brother and always rip on the Lions. Amon-Ra replied, yeah, with a healthy defense, their team is not going to change much. I mean, it might change a little, but I'm saying you would see our healthy defense, how that S bleep operates. We said it the other day. Adam Schefter pointed out that there's a chance that the Bears could be more compelling than the Lions for that opening game. Amon-Ra is going to play and is playing on his podcast here the healthy defense card, and how he thinks that with a healthy defense, the Lions could have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles if they would have played, and you'll see how they play this coming season. I love that Amon-Ra St. Brown is confident in his team and in his teammates, that if they play next year, you'll see a healthy defense and all of that. Here's the bottom line, though. The Philadelphia Eagles were the best team in the NFC. They won the Super Bowl. The Lions lost in their first game in the second round. I don't think we need to be trash talking the Eagles right now. Philadelphia is a better team than the Lions. They are. They just won the Super Bowl. Oh, but once we get our healthy defense, the Eagles won't change much. Like, come on, man. I think we're getting very caught up in how big our britches have become here in Detroit. The Lions are excellent. I've said it. The Lions are very, very good. They won 15 games this year. Nobody has been pushing the wheelbarrow for the Honolulu Blue and Silver wheelbarrow more than I have for the Lions. All right. I can't wait for next year. I think this team's going to be really good. I do think when they get healthy, they'll be tough to beat. But I'm not going to sit here and go, well, the Eagles only won because our defense wasn't healthy. Wait till we get a healthy defense, and the Eagles won't change much. Like, no, Philly's rosters, I'm sorry, equivalent or better than the Lions, especially on defense, even with the Lions being healthy. And yes, they got to get Aiden Hutchinson back. They got to get Lee McNeil back. They got to have a number one corner, a veteran. Bringing Carlton Davis back would be great. They need another edge rusher. Like, hey, Brad Holmes passed on Cooper DeJean, and he's kind of better than Terrion Arnold. It's 1 year. I'm a Terrion fan. I like how tough he is. I like that kid was thrown in man coverage all year and did the best he could. But right now, who would you take? If you had to say who had a better first season, you'd take DeJean. Got a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. So I think the talking has got to come down just a little bit with this team. I know everybody's confident. I know fans are into it. I know the players are confident. I get that. But fellas, your last 2 playoff games, you couldn't stop anybody. You blew the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, and then this year you gave up a 45 burger to a rookie quarterback. Can we just bring it down a notch? I'm excited for next year. I'm going to pick this team to win the division next year. I am. Lions are tough. Lions are well coached. The Lions are well put together. And I'm excited to see what Brad Holmes does this offseason. But let's take our medicine a little bit. That's all I'm saying. And I know the podcast is the podcast, and they needle each other, the St.Brown brothers. So I'm just throwing it out there. Yesterday, Bradford Banta was on the show, the former Lions long snapper and tight end. He was also an assistant coach for a few years with the Lions, and is on Fox 2 after some games. Love having Brad on the show. You guys have seen him and heard him many times on this program. I think he provides very good insight, and he's been in locker rooms, and he was talking about John Morton yesterday, the new Lions offensive coordinator, how he knows Johnny a little bit. But I asked Brad, of all these free agents that the Lions currently have, who's their top priority? Who do they need back the most? There's a good list of guys that you could argue about. Maybe you're a Melifonwu fan. Maybe you think Zeitler has to be back. Carlton Davis, Levi Onwuzurike. Lions have some pretty good free agents that are going to hit the open market. My response and my answer has been Kevin Zeitler, because I truly believe he's the best player of that group. And the Lions offensive line has been awesome, and you've got to have the guys back. If you can get chemistry and bring Zeitler back and maybe have a left guard competition between Christian Mahogany and Graham Glasgow, I'm all for it. Close second would be Carlton Davis. But yesterday, when I asked Bradford about it, he's like, without question, Davis. You've got to bring Carlton Davis back. Do you agree with that assessment? Is that something you also believe in? Because Carlton Davis showed this year, after maybe a rough opening to the season, he wasn't great the first maybe a few games, but he was coming back from injury from a year ago, had a little rust. He's a rock back there. He's a really, really solid and sound football player. And yes, he's going to cost you some money. Carlton Davis is making, $13 million or so this year? Veteran corner, knows how to play. You've got young corners on the other side with Arnold and Rakestraw that play on the outside. Amik Robertson, of course. Brian Branch, who was playing corner at times this year, will go back to safety. I know there's plenty of other corners on the market. We talked about Charvarius Ward the other day, USA Today, speculating he could be a Lions target. Teams like Cleveland with maybe Newsome and some others might be looking to rebuild and get draft picks and capital. You could make a trade for some of these people. It's a close call. I do want Carlton Davis back. I do. I think he was, before he got hurt and broke his jaw, I think he was playing really high-level football. But again, if you go out and can get another pass rusher and get a couple of D tackles and get that D line sewn up, maybe you won't spend the kind of money that Carlton Davis is looking for. I don't know. Lions are going to need to add a corner this offseason. There's no question. You're not going into the year next year. Maybe you re-sign Kindle Vildor for depth, but he's not a starter. Carlton Davis is a starter. But I thought that was interesting, that comment from Bradford Banta yesterday, because I would have probably said Zeitler, because I just think Kevin Zeitler's excellent. And I don't want him going to the Bears. All right. Today was the Philadelphia Eagles parade, and got a little out of hand. I will explain coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And the program today is sponsored by PrizePicks. Football season may be over, but basketball is in full swing, and there's no better way to stay in the game than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections, and if you're right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. All right? Looking at maybe after the All-Star break next week, Jason Tatum, first game back for the Celtics, more than or less than 29 points. What about that? Cade Cunningham has been hot for the Pistons. Detroit went into Chicago this week and just bullied the Bulls. All right? First game out of the break, Cade Cunningham, what are you thinking? 25 or more points in the first game back? You can put that money down at PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Friday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for being with us on this edition of the show. We are back again on Monday. Those of you that are off for a President's Day, enjoy that. Supposed to get more snow this weekend. That ought to be great. All right. So it was tough rooting at the Super Bowl because many of you were just sick and tired of Kansas City and the Chiefs always winning and the same guys winning the Lombardi Trophy. And you're tired of Mahomes and you're tired of Travis Kelce. And then there's the Taylor Swift angle that some people don't like, whatever. But the Eagles are obnoxious. Let's be honest. Their fan base is very obnoxious. I like a lot of their players. I was happy for a Saquon Barkley, a BG we've had on the show, Brandon Graham, the Detroit Crockett grad and Michigan Wolverine. He won a ring, his second, which was awesome. There were some likable guys in the Eagles, but for the most part, Eagles fans are just so obnoxious. They really are. And you feel a little bit bad about it because you're like, man, the Lions should have been there representing the NFC, not Philly. And the Lions would have hosted the Eagles, of course, in the NFC Championship game if they would have beaten Washington. So there's that angle. So today they held their Super Bowl parade in the streets of Philadelphia. And if you caught any of the videos that were making the rounds on social media, guys were hammered. Guys were swearing live on TV. Like all these local news stations are going live on television with parade coverage. And I get that it's 2025 and people swear and it's more normal to use the S word and the F word and all these things. When you're on live TV and you know that these reporters are likely live, wouldn't you try to clean up your act? Or no? Every speech, like Landon Dickerson walking the parade route, he was out of his float and on the ground walking. And this poor reporter comes over and it's and it's let's F and this and F and that. Quinyon Mitchell, hammered drunk, swearing on TV. Players getting up on the podium. I watched 15 minutes of this. They interview A.J. Brown. He's up there dropping F-bombs. They're trying to bleep it out. Landon Dickerson, he's up there dropping F-bombs. Everything's F and S. The notion that the Eagles and Philly is kind of scummy and sleazy at times and kind of blockheadish was on full display today. I get an occasional F-bombs awesome. Remember when Bill Davidson said bull BS, but he said the full word when the Pistons won the championship and Mr. D, who was just the greatest and one of the greatest sports owners this town will ever see. He got up there and he's like, everybody said the Lakers would win. Bull bleep. And everybody laughed. It was funny seeing an 80-year-old man up there dropping the S word. But I watched 15 minutes of this parade today. I don't know if I was watching ESPN News or what I was watching. I just flip it on. And everybody's just F-bomb, S-bomb. And these poor TV stations kept going, we apologize for the bad language. But like, I don't know. To me, it just looked like, yeah, typical Philly, right? I would have thought that if the Lions would have won, they would have been a little bit more classy than how the Eagles were sort of acting today. But I guess when you've had a bunch of alcohol and you're celebrating, the swear words come out. I just know this. Come next year, I want to see the Lions there. We all do. It's time. And this team is good enough. They got a good young nucleus. If they could just stay healthy on defense and offense, but more healthy this year than they were this past year, they got a shot. They're going to be right there. So we got the combine coming up at the end of the month. We got free agency March 10th, the draft. There's going to be a lot to get into. We'll do our mock draft Monday coming up this week. I haven't decided yet on Monday which mock draft we're going to go with. We did that 3-round mock last week. I've got to put in for the Locked On NFL hosts and some of the Locked On Today shows. They're asking about Lions needs in the draft, and they want the top 3. And I would likely venture to say edge rusher, defensive tackle, and cornerback. Another corner. I'm not putting any need. There's no needs on offense. Not at all. Let's say Zeitler leaves. Mahogany will play right guard. Glasgow's off, not a great year, would play left guard, but maybe there'd be some competition with some of the younger guys, possibly. But I'd probably say D tackle or edge, D tackle, and another corner. Can never have enough cornerbacks. All right, great week, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Lions. Again, if you missed Bradford Banta yesterday, check him out. We're back again Monday with a mock draft Monday right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. As we like to say, your team every day.